Elena's hands worked tirelessly as she arranged the last of the flowers on the dining table. The soft glow of candles reflected on the polished silverware, and the faint aroma of her husband, Marcus's favorite dishes wafted through the air tonight, marked their 5th wedding anniversary. A milestone she had been looking forward to for months. She took a step back to admire the setup. The Kumi Ridge home, usually filled with the hum of daily life, had been transformed into an intimate setting that mirrored their happiest moments. Each detail was chosen with love. The vintage wine they had shared on their first date, the playlist of songs from their wedding night. It was perfect, a celebration of their journey together. Elena couldn't help but smile as she reminisced about how they had met. Marcus, charming and ambitious, had swept her off her feet with his wit and warmth. Over the years, she had given her all to the marriage, balancing her own career while supporting his dreams. Their life together wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, built on love and trust, or so she believed. Lately, though, something had shifted. Marcus had been distracted, his usual tenderness replaced by a distant preoccupation. He often claimed to be swamped with work, and while Elena tried to brush off her concerns, a lingering doubt crept into her thoughts. She had even noticed his demeanor around her best friend. Tamara seemed different, but she dismissed the idea as paranoia. Tamara had been a part of Elena's life for as long as she could remember. Bold, vivacious, and fiercely loyal, or so Elena thought. Tamara had always been her confidant, the one who could lift her spirits with a joke or a spontaneous plan. When Elena had shared her plans for the anniversary surprise, Tamara had encouraged her, though her enthusiasm had seemed forced. As Elena adjusted a candle, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Tamara. "Hope tonight's perfect. You deserve the best." Elena smiled at the message, though something about it felt hollow. Tamara had been strangely distant lately, claiming to be busy. Whenever Elena suggested meeting up, a sudden sound broke her reverie. The front door opened, and Elena turned her face, lighting up with expectation. But it wasn't Marcus. It was her neighbor, Mrs. Langley, who smiled apologetically. "I thought I saw Marcus's car earlier," she said. "I was going to congratulate you both." Elena's stomach fluttered with a mix of hope and doubt. She checked her phone again. No message from Marcus. The night stretched ahead, and Elena clung to the belief that this was just another moment in their story. Little did she know the evening would unravel secrets that would change her world forever. The evening sun dipped lower, casting long shadows through the windows, as Elena glanced at the clock for the 100th time. The table was set, candles flickering softly, but Marcus was nowhere to be seen. Her calls went unanswered, and each passing minute amplified the unease growing in her chest. Tamara wasn't responding either, her phone going straight to voicemail. Elena tried to dismiss the nagging thoughts creeping into her mind. They were both busy, she reasoned, though her heart whispered otherwise. Otherwise, the perfect anniversary surprise was starting to feel like a cruel joke as she paced the room. The doorbell rang, breaking her spiraling thoughts. Elena opened it to find Mrs. Langley again, her face a mix of hesitation and concern. "I don't mean to intrude," she began, "but I thought you should know. I saw Marcus's car parked near Tamara's apartment earlier. I'm sure it's nothing," but the words hit like a punch to the stomach. She forced a smile, thanked Mrs. Langley, and closed the door, her mind racing. What was Marcus doing near Tamara's place? The thought lingered, growing heavier with each second. She shook her head, trying to dismiss the suspicion. "It's just a coincidence. It has to be." Unable to shake the feeling, Elena grabbed her keys and left. The evening air felt colder than usual as she drove, her hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. Her heart pounded as she approached Tamara's apartment, a part of her hoping Mrs. Langley was mistaken. She parked a distance away, not wanting to be seen. As she stepped closer, her breath caught in her throat. Through the partially drawn curtains of Tamara's living room, she saw Marcus. He was there, laughing, his hand resting on Tamara's shoulder in a way that sent a chill down Elena's spine. Tamara leaned in, her face inches from his. The moments froze in time. Elena's world crumbled as the truth unfolded before her eyes. She took a step back, her foot slipping on the pavement, making a noise loud enough to catch their attention. Both heads turned toward the window. Elena's heart raced, her body trembling. She wanted to run, to scream, But all she could do was stand there, staring into the faces of the two people she trusted most. Elena's world had shattered in a single moment. The betrayal pierced her heart, leaving her frozen outside Tamara's apartment. As her mind caught up with her emotions, she realized she had two choices: walk away silently or face the ugly truth head-on. Her body trembled, but her feet moved with purpose. The door to Tamara's apartment creaked open just as Elena reached it. Tamara stood there, her confident demeanor faltering for a brief second, before a sly smirk crept across her face. Behind her, Marcus appeared, his face pale as if all the blood had drained from it. "Elena," Marcus started, his voice weak, reaching out as if to comfort her. Elena's hand shot up, silencing him. "Don't you dare," she spat, her voice trembling but filled with venom. "Don't you dare try to explain." Tamara leaned casually against the doorframe, her arms crossed. "Well, I guess there's no point in pretending anymore," she said smugly, her words laced with condescension. The audacity in Tamara's voice lit a fire in Elena's chest. She stepped past Tamara into the living room, her eyes locking onto Marcus. "How long?" she demanded, her voice breaking despite her attempt to stay strong. "How long has this been going on?" Marcus fumbled for words, his excuses tumbling out like loose threads. "Elena, listen, I didn't mean for this to happen. I was confused. Things between us have been different." "Different?" Elena repeated, her voice rising with each syllable. We've been married for 5 years, Marcus. 5 years of love, sacrifice, and trust. Was that not enough for you?" Tamara, unbothered by Elena's pain, interjected. "Oh, come on, Elena. You always acted like you were perfect, like your marriage was untouchable. Newsflash, it wasn't." Elena turned to Tamara, her eyes blazing with anger. "You were my best friend, Tamara. I trusted you. I confided in you. How could you do this to me?" Tamara shrugged, her smugness growing. "Maybe it's time someone told you the truth. You were too predictable, Elena, too naive, and let's face it, you never really deserved him." Marcus winced at Tamara's words, but he didn't defend Elena. Instead, he muttered, "It's not just her fault. Things between us got stale, Elena. You were too busy trying to control everything. I needed something different." "Different?" Elena repeated, her voice laced with disbelief. "So, instead of talking to me, instead of trying to fix what was wrong, you chose her? My best friend?" Tamara laughed, the sound grating against Elena's ears. "Face it, Elena, you lost. He chose me. It's not my fault you couldn't keep him interested." Elena felt the weight of their words crushing her, but as her tears threatened to fall, a new feeling began to emerge: anger. She straightened her back, her resolve hardening. "You know what, Tamara? You're right. I was naive. I was stupid to think either of you were worth my trust." Her voice grew stronger, cutting through the room like a blade. "But let me make one thing clear. You didn't win, Tamara. You settled for the scraps of a man who doesn't even have the guts to admit he's a coward." Marcus's face turned red with shame, but Tamara remained defiant. "Call it whatever you want, Elena. At least I'm not the one left alone." Elena took a deep breath, letting the weight of their betrayal sink in fully. "Alone," she said, a bitter smile forming on her lips. "I'd rather be alone than surrounded by people like you. Both of you are pathetic." She turned to Marcus one last time, her eyes filled with a mix of hurt and finality. "You didn't just betray me, Marcus. You betrayed every memory we built together. But here's the thing, I'm done crying over you." Before either of them could respond, Elena stormed toward the door. Marcus tried to stop her, grabbing her arm, but she yanked it away with force. "Don't touch me," she hissed, her voice like steel. Tamara called after her mockingly. "Good luck finding someone who can put up with you, Elena." Elena paused at the door, turning her head just enough to glare at Tamara. "You can have him, Tamara. You two deserve each other." With that, she walked out, slamming the door behind her. The cool night air hit her face, and for the first time since the nightmare began, she felt a small sense of clarity. Her heart was shattered, yes, but she refused to let their betrayal define her. As she drove away, the memories of her life with Marcus flooded her mind. Their first date, their wedding, the moments of laughter and love. Each memory felt like a dagger, but instead of breaking her, they fed her resolve. She deserved better. She always had. Elena drove aimlessly, the cool night air streaming through the car window. Her mind raced, replaying the betrayal she had just witnessed. The pain was sharp, but beneath it, a growing sense of clarity began to emerge. She thought of all the times she had sacrificed her happiness, ignored her own needs, and fought to keep a relationship alive while Marcus grew distant. She realized painfully that this betrayal was not just a sudden blow. It had been building for years. Pulling over to the side of a quiet road, Elena took deep, shaky breaths. Her tears had dried, replaced by a simmering anger that coursed through her veins. For the first time in years, she felt a spark of power returning to her. She gripped the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles whitening, and whispered to herself, "I deserve better." Determined not to be consumed by grief, Elena decided to go back, not to beg or plead, but to confront them one last time, to reclaim her dignity and sever the ties that had held her captive to their lies. Her reflection in the rearview mirror stared back at her, tired but resolute. She started the engine and turned the car around. Back at Tamar's apartment, the lights were still on. Elena entered without knocking. Marcus and Tamara, seated on the couch, turned toward her in surprise. Tamara's smug expression faltered for a moment, and Marcus looked visibly uncomfortable. "Elena, what are you?" Marcus began, but she cut him off. "Save it," she said, her voice steady but firm. "I came back for one reason, to tell you both exactly how pathetic you are." Tamara leaned back, feigning boredom. "Oh, here we go, another dramatic speech." Elena stepped closer, her gaze fixed on Marcus. "Marcus, you had everything, a wife who loved you, a life we built together, and a future that I would have fought for. But you threw it all away. For what? A thrill? A fling?" Marcus opened his mouth to speak, but Elena's sharp tone silenced him. "No. Don't even try to justify it. There's no excuse for what you've done. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed yourself. And for what? Someone who was supposed to be my best friend." Elena turned to Tamara, her eyes narrowing. "And you had the audacity to call yourself my friend. You stood by me. You listened to me talk about my fears, my dreams, my love for this man, and all the while you were waiting for your chance to destroy it. Why? Because you were jealous? Because you wanted what I had?" Tamara's smirk returned, though it was less confident now. "You're right, Elena. I did want what you had, and guess what? I got it." Elena laughed bitterly. "No, Tamara, you didn't. You got the leftovers of a man who didn't even have the courage to be honest. Congratulations. You deserve each other." At that, Marcus stood up, his voice desperate. "Elena, please, I made a mistake, but we can fix this. I love you." Elena shook her head, her voice calm but unyielding. "You don't love me, Marcus. You love the idea of me, the safety, the stability, the convenience. But love isn't convenience. Love is respect, and you lost that the moment you chose her." Marcus reached out for her hand, but Elena stepped back. "No," she said firmly. "Don't touch me. You don't get to apologize now. Not when you've already shown me who you really are." Turning to Tamara one last time, Elena's voice dropped, each word heavy with finality. "You may think you've won, but all you've done is reveal the truth. You're not worth my pain or my energy. I'm done with both of you." Elena walked to the door, pausing only to glance back at Marcus. "You didn't just lose me, Marcus. You lost the best thing that ever happened to you." She left without another word. Her head held high. Outside, the night's air felt different, lighter, freer. She felt the weight of their betrayal lift with each step she took away from them. The tears she had shed were gone, replaced by a quiet strength. She was no longer the woman clinging to a broken marriage. She was someone new, someone stronger. As she drove away, the city lights blurred around her, and for the first time in years, she felt a flicker of hope. She had faced her pain, confronted her betrayers, and walked away with her dignity intact. The road ahead was uncertain, but Elena knew one thing for sure. She would never settle for less than she deserved again. The days following the confrontation were heavy, but Elena was determined to find her footing again. The home she had built with Marcus now felt like a hollow shell, echoing with memories that were hard to face. Money was tight. She had poured so much into supporting Marcus's dreams that she'd neglected her own financial cushion. The thought of starting over without stability gnawed at her, but she knew reclaiming her life wouldn't wait for comfort. Instead of succumbing to the grief, Elena made a choice. She would reclaim her life piece by piece. It had been months since she last spoke to her sister. Their once close bond had thinned during the marriage, strained by Elena's tendency to shut others out while trying to preserve her image of a perfect life. Her younger sister, Rachel, was the first to arrive, arms open wide, ready to comfort her. They spent hours talking, Elena pouring out her heart while Rachel listened, offering words of encouragement and support. "You've always been stronger than you think," Rachel reminded her. "This isn't the end for you. It's a new beginning." Elena also confided in her old friend Nicole, someone she had lost touch with over the years while trying to maintain her marriage. Nicole had always been her rock during difficult times, and reconnecting with her felt like finding a missing piece of herself. Over coffee, Nicole gently nudged Elena toward focusing on her own dreams. "You used to talk about starting your own design business," Nicole said. "Why not now? You're free to do whatever you want." Taking those words to heart, Elena threw herself into rediscovering the passions she had set aside. She began sketching again, filling pages with designs and ideas that had been buried under years of compromise and neglect. The act of creating felt cathartic, as if she were reclaiming a part of herself that had been lost. She signed up for a local business workshop, meeting like-minded individuals who shared her ambition and drive. Their enthusiasm was infectious, and Elena found herself excited about the future for the first time in years. Still, a flicker of doubt lingered. Was she truly capable of starting from nothing? The fear crept in quietly, but she met it with quiet defiance. She also made changes to her physical space, starting with the house. Elena packed away reminders of Marcus, boxing up photos, mementos, and anything else that carried the weight of betrayal. She rearranged furniture, painted the walls a calming shade of blue, and adorned her living room with fresh flowers. Each change felt symbolic, like shedding layers of the past and stepping into a new chapter. Despite her progress, there were moments of doubt. Nights were still the hardest, when the silence stretched long and memories crept in, uninvited. But Elena learned to embrace those moments, using them as reminders of how far she had come. She started journaling before bed, filling the pages with gratitude for small victories and reflections on her growth. Her entries became a testament to her resilience. One day, while walking through the park, Elena paused to watch a group of children playing. Their laughter was infectious, and she found herself smiling. It was a small but powerful moment, a reminder that joy could still exist, even in the aftermath of heartbreak. Marcus tried reaching out a few times, leaving long, emotional messages asking for another chance. But Elena didn't respond. Each time she listened to his voice, she felt a growing certainty that she had made the right choice. His pleas no longer held power over her. They were simply echoes of a life she had left behind. As for Tamara, she remained unapologetic, occasionally attempting to provoke Elena with smug social media posts. But Elena refused to engage. She realized that Tamara's bitterness was her burden to carry, not Elena's. Instead of dwelling on Tamara's betrayal, Elena focused on building a life that was no longer defined by those who had hurt her. With time, Elena's efforts began to bear fruit. Her design business gained momentum, attracting clients who appreciated her unique vision. She made new friends, surrounded herself with people who uplifted and supported her. She even started traveling, something she had always dreamed of but had put off during her marriage. Each trip felt like a step toward reclaiming her independence. Through it all, Elena learned that healing wasn't linear. It was messy, with setbacks and breakthroughs in equal measure. But every day, she grew a little stronger, a little braver, and a little more confident in her ability to create a fulfilling life on her own terms. Elena's journey wasn't just about moving on from betrayal. It was about rediscovering herself. And in doing so, she found a strength she never knew she had. A strength that would carry her forward into a future filled with possibility. Months had passed, and Elena's life had transformed in ways she could never have imagined. The pain of betrayal still lingered, but it no longer defined her. Instead, it served as a reminder of her resilience and the strength she had found within herself. The first step in finding closure came when Elena filed for divorce. Walking into the lawyer's office had been daunting, but each signature she added to the documents felt like a weight lifting off her shoulders. She knew this was the right decision. The marriage she once cherished was no longer a safe space, but a reminder of broken trust. By ending it, she was choosing herself, her happiness, her future. When the divorce was finalized, Marcus requested one last meeting. Elena agreed, not out of hope, but because she knew she needed to close this chapter on her terms. They met in a quiet cafe, a neutral ground. Marcus's face carried regret, his once confident demeanor replaced by nervousness. He began, his voice trembling. "I don't know how to express how sorry I am. I made a terrible mistake, and I know I hurt you in ways I can never undo. I'll regret it for the rest of my life." Elena listened quietly, her heart steady. She looked at him, not with anger, but with a calm acceptance. "Marcus," she replied, her tone firm but gentle, "I don't hate you, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean going back. What you did broke something in me, in us, that can't be repaired. I've moved on, and I hope you find a way to do the same." He nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "I'll always love you," he said softly. Elena smiled faintly, a mix of sadness and finality in her expression. "I loved you too, but love isn't always enough. Goodbye, Marcus." That conversation was the closure Elena needed. Walking out of the cafe, she felt a sense of peace. Peace. She had said her piece, and now it was time to fully embrace the life ahead of her. Her relationship with Tamara, however, ended with no such meeting. Elena blocked her on all platforms, erasing any connection. Tamara's betrayal had cut too deep, and there was no place for her in Elena's future. Some bridges, Elena realized, were better left burned. Elena began immersing herself in her new world. She attended community events, reconnected with old friends, and became an active member of a local women's empowerment group. The camaraderie and shared experiences reminded her that she wasn't alone. Each new connection became a brick in the foundation of her new life. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Elena stood on the balcony of her apartment, overlooking the horizon. She held a glass of wine, reflecting on the past and the journey that had brought her here. For the first time in years, she felt a profound sense of contentment. The story ended not with a grand romance or a dramatic twist, but with Elena finding strength in herself. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was hers, filled with self-love, hope, and the promise of new beginnings.